It began not with a whisper, but with a warning. Just one day before his death, Charlie Kirk reportedly confided in 3 close associates that he feared for his life. According to their accounts, the conservative commentator and Turning Point USA founder told them directly, "I think they're going to kill me." Those words, spoken in confidence, would take on an eerie significance less than 24 hours later when Kirk was fatally shot during a Utah Valley University event attended by over 3,000 people. The nation erupted in shock, disbelief, and speculation. Within minutes, news alerts blazed across phones and television screens. Charlie Kirk was dead. What followed was a storm of accusation, political debate, and growing distrust toward the institutions tasked with uncovering the truth. Before we go further, take a moment to subscribe so you don't miss future updates as this case continues to unfold. The shooting took place in front of a massive live audience, yet no one clearly saw the shooter. Witnesses described chaos, screaming, and confusion as Kirk collapsed on stage. Theories began to swirl almost immediately. Within hours, a suspect's name surfaced: 23-year-old Tyler Robinson. Robinson wasn't a known extremist, nor did he have a history of violence. By all accounts, he was an unassuming electrical apprentice living a quiet life in Utah. But by the end of the day, his face was plastered across every major news outlet, branded the assassin who had taken down one of the most polarizing political figures in America. Authorities claimed overwhelming evidence pointed to him, but as details emerged, the story began to feel increasingly unstable. The evidence seemed compelling at first glance. Investigators cited surveillance footage placing Robinson near the event venue, a rifle discovered close to the scene with his DNA traces, and digital messages suggesting involvement. But each piece of evidence came with contradictions that fueled public doubt. The DNA on the weapon was partial and found only on a towel wrapped around the barrel, an odd discovery that suggested contact, not direct use. The supposed confession messages circulating online were traced to an account similar to Robinson's, but forensic experts couldn't verify their origin. There was also the surveillance gap. The crucial minute of the shooting, captured by multiple campus security cameras, mysteriously contained corrupted or missing footage. To skeptics, it all felt too coincidental. As investigators doubled down on their version of events, another narrative began to unfold, one rooted in politics, power, and hidden conflict. Just days before his death, Charlie Kirk's private communications with donors were leaked to the media. The messages revealed growing tension within his organization and frustration over what he described as political bullying from key benefactors. One exchange in particular stood out. After Kirk refused to cancel a scheduled appearance by Tucker Carlson, a move requested by major pro-Israel donors, an annual $2 million contribution to his organization was abruptly withdrawn. In his text, Kirk wrote, "I cannot and will not be bullied like this," signaling a dramatic rift within the conservative donor network that had long supported him. These revelations cast his death in a different light. For the first time, people began asking whether Kirk's defiance may have made him a target, not from ideological outsiders, but from factions within his own movement. Insiders described a man increasingly at odds with powerful interests, struggling to maintain his independence while keeping the loyalty of his base. Publicly, he projected unity and confidence. Privately, his messages painted a picture of exhaustion and distrust. He was walking a tightrope between conviction and survival, refusing to bend to the same forces that built his platform. That growing defiance, some now believe, might have cost him his life. Meanwhile, Tyler Robinson's story was unraveling in its own tragic way. Prosecutors painted him as a radicalized loner driven by online extremism and ideological hatred. But his defense team pushed back, arguing that the government was misrepresenting digital traces and ignoring glaring inconsistencies. Robinson's social media history revealed political frustration, but nothing explicitly violent or threatening. Experts in digital extremism pointed out how easily online expressions of anger can be manipulated to fit a preferred narrative. In many ways, Robinson became less a suspect and more a symbol, a scapegoat who embodied the dangers of political assumption. The court filings so far present a thinly stretched case, built largely on circumstantial data and partial forensics, while glaring holes in the investigation remain unaddressed. As the legal process dragged on, the public conversation split into two distinct paths. On one side stood law enforcement and prosecutors, emphasizing hard evidence, ballistics, timestamps, and digital trails. On the other, political commentators, journalists, and online investigators dissected the broader picture: the donor disputes, the ideological fractures, and the high-stakes battles over message control within conservative media circles. These competing narratives created an atmosphere of deep division. Was this a straightforward act of violence, or something orchestrated beneath the surface? Was Tyler Robinson a misguided young man acting alone, or a convenient diversion to keep the focus away from uncomfortable truths? Inside the courtroom, proceedings were methodical but tense. Forensic experts debated lab results. Defense attorneys questioned the integrity of the evidence chain, particularly the missing footage and inconsistencies in the rifle analysis. Every new hearing reignited public speculation, each revelation raising more questions than it answered. Yet outside the legal walls, the conversation was far less restrained. Online forums buzzed with theories about donor power plays, federal involvement, and the unexplained speed with which the FBI seized all digital records related to the case. The official narrative continued to erode under the weight of unanswered questions. Charlie Kirk's death, once treated as an isolated act of political violence, has now become a symbol of something larger, a warning about how intertwined influence, ideology, and loyalty can become in modern politics. His final weeks revealed the limits of independence within a movement defined by big money and sharp divisions. Those who once saw him as untouchable now view his fall as a reflection of a deeper corruption eating away at the system he helped build. Tyler Robinson's arrest, meanwhile, exposes the fragility of justice in an era where public opinion often forms before facts do. Both men, in their own ways, are trapped within the same machinery of perception and control. The tragedy raises questions that stretch beyond one night in Utah. How much power do donors truly hold over political narratives? How easily can evidence be shaped or erased when federal authorities act without transparency? And perhaps most hauntingly, was Charlie Kirk's warning the day before his death a paranoid thought or a chilling premonition that went ignored? As investigators, journalists, and citizens continue to seek answers, one truth remains undeniable: this case has shattered trust in institutions, fractured alliances, and revealed the extraordinary price of standing against powerful forces. Whether Tyler Robinson is guilty or innocent will eventually be decided in a courtroom. But the deeper reckoning about corruption, influence, and the silencing of dissent has only just begun. Stay tuned as the story continues to unfold, and subscribe to follow every new development in the search for truth.